I don't talk about my life the way people expect. I don't say empire. Out loud. I don't say self-made, unless someone else forces the word into the room. To me, it just feels like geography. I live here now. I work like this now. I wake up in a different place than the one I grew up in. My parents never visited my loft. They said it was too modern. My mother once asked if it echoed. My sister came once, walked around touching things like she was checking if they were real, then said, "Must be nice." It was. But it was also lonely in a very specific way, like success had moved me into a language my family didn't want to learn. They still spoke in old roles. My sister was the one who needed support. I was the one who could handle it. When she dropped out of another program, my mother called me crying, not about disappointment, about money. She just needs a little help to get back on her feet. They never asked directly. They just described the crisis until silence sounded like cruelty. I sent some money, then some more, then stopped. Not because I was broke, but because I felt something hollowing out in me every time I paid to keep the family story intact. Then the lawsuit arrived. Not a conversation, not a request. A thick envelope with language that felt like it had never met love in its life. Raising fees. $500,000. 2. Recover costs incurred in the upbringing of the plaintiff's children. I read it twice before I laughed. Then I didn't laugh again for a long time. I called my mother. She didn't answer. I called my father. He said, "It's not personal. It's practical." That sentence did something to me. It rearranged a lot of old memories very quickly. I considered paying. Not because it was right. Because it would be quiet. I imagined wiring the money, blocking the numbers, moving on with my life like none of this had ever happened. I imagined the relief of not thinking about my family ever again. Then I imagined agreeing in writing that their love had been a bill. And I couldn't do it. I hired a lawyer. I didn't tell anyone. While she prepared a response, I started looking through old files. Not for revenge, just to understand how we had gotten here. What I found wasn't dramatic. It was boring. Tax forms where numbers didn't match, transfers that made sense emotionally but not legally. Businesses in relatives' names that weren't really theirs. Things I had helped fix years ago because my father hated paperwork. I realized I had been cleaning up quietly for a long time. I stopped. I didn't threaten. I didn't warn. I just stopped protecting them from themselves. I sent what I found to my lawyer. She looked at me carefully and said, "Do you understand what this means?" I said, "Yes." I sent it to the IRS. Then I waited. The lawsuit didn't move forward the way they expected. Deadlines got extended. Calls went unanswered. My parents suddenly became hard to reach. Then a letter arrived at their house, not from me. From the government. Official language. No emotion. Heavy with consequence. My father called me that night, not angry, not loud. "Small, what did you do?" he asked. "I stopped lying you," I said. "Were your parents?" "I know," I said. That's why it took me so long. He didn't yell. He just said my name once, like he was trying to remember who it belonged to. The lawsuit was quietly withdrawn. No apology came with it. My sister stopped talking to me. She didn't blame me directly, but she didn't need to. Her silence was fluent. My mother called once and said, "You didn't have to go that far." I said, "You went to court." She didn't answer. Things didn't explode. They thinned. Holidays became optional. Calls became formal. Every word felt like it was being weighed for legal mass. I didn't feel victorious. I felt separate. For a while, that felt like loss. Then it started to feel like space. I realized I no longer flinched when my phone rang. I no longer felt guilty for having what I built. I no longer tried to translate myself into a version my family could accept. I didn't destroy them. I just stopped holding them up. And in the quiet that followed, I finally learned what it felt like to stand without bending.